Some people notice something surprising after downgrading their home. Not just financially, but physically. Downgrading feels better. Not because of trends. Not because of minimalism. But because something inside the body changes. People don't just save money. They don't just own fewer things. They sleep more deeply. Their stress begins to soften. Their energy feels steadier. And often, they can't fully explain why. Downgrading is usually framed as a practical choice. A smaller space. Lower maintenance. Less responsibility. But for many people, the most noticeable change happens in the body, not the budget. This video explores why some people feel healthier after downgrading their home, and what changes inside the environment that allows the body to finally rest. Section 1. Environmental load. Every home places a demand on the body, whether we're aware of it or not. Not just emotionally. Physiologically. Noise. Lighting. Air quality. Visual complexity. Movement patterns. Maintenance demands. All of these are constantly processed by the nervous system. And the body never fully turns that processing off. Larger homes often increase what researchers call environmental load, the total amount of sensory and cognitive information the brain must manage each day. More rooms mean more transitions. Walking from space to space. Adjusting to different temperatures. Different lighting conditions. Different sounds. Each transition seems small, but the nervous system registers every one. More objects mean more visual input. Shelves. Counters. Furniture. Decor. Storage areas. Even when nothing is wrong, the brain is quietly scanning, categorizing, and tracking. What needs cleaning? What needs organizing? What might be unfinished? What could be improved? This background processing consumes energy, even when we're resting. More space also means more upkeep. More surfaces to clean. More systems to monitor. More areas that subtly signal responsibility. And responsibility, even unspoken, creates low-level stress. In contrast, smaller homes tend to reduce environmental load automatically. Fewer rooms mean fewer transitions. The body settles into consistent movement patterns. Lighting stays predictable. Sound travels in familiar ways. Fewer objects mean fewer visual demands. The eyes rest more easily. The brain scans less. Attention softens. With less to monitor, the nervous system shifts out of constant alert mode. Movement becomes more efficient. Daily routines shorten. Recovery happens faster. In smaller spaces, the body spends less energy managing the environment, and more energy maintaining balance. Not because smaller homes are better, but because the body responds well to reduced sensory demand. When environmental load decreases, stress hormones quiet more easily, sleep deepens, and the nervous system spends more time in recovery rather than regulation. This is one of the first reasons people say, often without realizing it, downgrading feels better. Section 2. Nervous system response. The nervous system is constantly responding to space, even when we're not consciously paying attention. It responds to ceilings, to sound, to light, to distance, to how contained or exposed we feel. In larger or more complex environments, the body often stays subtly alert. High ceilings can create a sense of openness, but they also increase echo, sound travel, and spatial uncertainty. Large rooms with artificial lighting require the eyes and brain to work harder to orient. Clutter adds visual signals that never fully turn off. Unfamiliar or rarely used spaces keep the body slightly vigilant. None of this feels dramatic, but the nervous system notices. Over time, these signals can keep the body hovering closer to sympathetic mode, the state associated with readiness, monitoring, and low-level stress. Not panic. Not anxiety. Just activation. In contrast, smaller or more contained spaces often provide something different. They offer predictability. The body knows where things are. Movement paths are familiar. Sound behaves consistently. They offer containment. Walls feel closer. Ceilings feel reachable. The space feels defined rather than expansive. And they reduce sensory noise. Fewer visual fields to scan. Less background sound. More stable lighting conditions. Together, these qualities support parasympathetic activity, the nervous system state associated with rest, digestion, immune function, and repair. This is the state the body enters when it feels safe enough to recover. Many people describe this shift in simple terms. I feel more settled. I feel calmer at home. I can finally relax. They often assume it's emotional, or situational, or just a phase. But it isn't weakness. And it isn't imagination. It's physiology. When the nervous system receives fewer signals telling it to stay alert, it naturally spends more time in recovery. Heart rate variability improves. Breathing deepens. Muscle tension eases. Sleep becomes easier to enter, and easier to maintain. This is why downgrading can feel better in the body even before it makes sense in the mind. Section 3. Daily habits shift. Downgrading changes behavior, often without conscious effort. No instructions are given. No routines are prescribed. Yet daily habits begin to shift. In smaller homes, movement becomes more continuous. People walk more frequently, even if distances are shorter. There's less sitting still between tasks. The body stays gently active throughout the day. Cleaning changes too. Fewer rooms mean fewer surfaces. Tasks feel finite rather than endless. Maintenance stops feeling overwhelming, and starts feeling achievable. This reduces background stress. When upkeep feels manageable, the nervous system stops bracing against it. Light exposure also changes. In smaller homes, people tend to spend more time near windows. Natural light becomes unavoidable rather than optional. Morning light reaches the eyes more consistently. Evening light softens earlier. These patterns help regulate circadian rhythm, the internal clock that influences sleep, mood, digestion, and energy. Cooking habits often simplify. With fewer storage areas and less visual clutter, decisions become easier. Meals become more repetitive, but also more regular. People cook what fits the space, rather than what fills it. This steadiness supports digestion and blood sugar regulation without anyone intentionally eating healthier. Sleep routines follow. Smaller spaces reduce nighttime stimulation. There's less wandering. Less late-night tidying. Fewer unfinished visual cues competing for attention. Bedrooms feel more clearly defined as recovery spaces. As a result, sleep schedules often stabilize. Bedtimes become more consistent. Waking feels less abrupt. Even breathing patterns shift. When environments feel simpler, the body naturally breathes more deeply. Exhalations lengthen. The diaphragm engages more fully. This isn't meditation. It's a physiological response to reduced demand. Over time, these small changes compound. Not dramatically. Quietly. The home stops asking for attention and starts giving something back. Energy stabilizes. Mental load decreases. Recovery happens more easily between days. Without trying, the space begins supporting health instead of constantly requesting effort. Section 4. Emotional resistance versus physical relief. Downgrading often begins with resistance. Not logistical resistance, but emotional resistance. It can feel like loss. Loss of identity. Loss of status. Loss of a version of life that once felt important. Homes carry meaning. They signal success, stability, achievement. So when people downgrade, the mind often protests. It asks questions like, what does this say about me? Am I moving backward? Did I fail to maintain what I built? These thoughts are common. And they're deeply human. But while the mind debates meaning, the body is already responding. The body doesn't interpret square footage. It doesn't measure status or expectation. It responds only to conditions. Air, light, sound, effort, recovery. This is where the disconnect begins. Many people describe feeling emotionally uncertain while physically calmer at the same time. They may miss the idea of the old home, yet notice their shoulders drop more easily. Their sleep deepens. Their breathing slows. The body adapts first. Nervous systems are practical. They respond to reduced demand immediately. The mind, however, takes longer. It clings to narratives, to comparisons, to imagined judgments from others. This creates a temporary mismatch, emotional resistance paired with physical relief. Over time, something interesting happens. As days pass, the body continues to feel better. Stress reactions soften. Energy steadies. Recovery improves. And slowly, the mind begins to notice. It stops arguing as much. It starts reinterpreting the change. What once felt like loss begins to feel like relief. What felt like giving up begins to feel like letting go. Not everyone experiences this shift immediately. For some, it takes months. For others, a year or more. But the pattern is consistent. When the body feels safer, the mind eventually adjusts its story to match. This is not about forcing gratitude. It's not about convincing yourself that less is better. It's about allowing the body's response to inform the mind's interpretation. Downgrading doesn't remove identity. It often strips away pressure that was quietly shaping it. And when pressure eases, clarity tends to follow. Feeling healthier after downgrading isn't coincidence. It's the body responding to fewer stressors, clearer signals, and gentler rhythms. This isn't about small homes being better. It's about environments that let the body rest. In the next episode, we explore how smaller homes change daily habits, often without people noticing at all. If this video helped you, like, share, and subscribe for more ways to support your well-being at home. Thanks for watching, and remember, wellness begins at home.